Good morning, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining us for episode number 27 of our Wednesday Wisdom. Hope you're doing well this morning, that you had a good night's rest, and I know you are getting your day started, getting ready for work, so I appreciate you taking some time out and joining us this morning. We're going to be having our devotional from Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7, very well-known passage, one that is probably a favorite of many of us, and it speaks to the two topics that we need to hear the most, and that's what I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you this morning on. So Philippians 4, verses 6 and 7, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. You know, I think that it's safe to say that we all have our battles with worry and anxiousness. We all have those things that to us are very big. Maybe from someone else's perspective, they may be small and insignificant. But in the moment that we're dealing with anxiousness and worry, whatever it is that's on our heart and our mind, it is a big deal. Jesus speaks of worry and anxiousness in Matthew 6, but he speaks of it from the perspective of the things that contribute to our worry. What is it that usually makes us anxious and worrisome? There, Jesus mentions food, clothing, and the future. Those are the three most basic causes of our worry. And no matter how complex our life is, we still worry about those things. Paul in Philippians 4 doesn't speak to what contributes to our worry, but he does speak of the anxiousness that is on our hearts and our minds. And what I love about Paul, if you want a very brief summary and a good way to remember Philippians 4 and verse 6, is to take those anxious thoughts and to turn them into prayer requests. Turn them into something to which you can communicate to God what is on your heart and what is on your mind, what's going in your life, that dark cloud that's hanging over you and your family. Because that's usually what anxiousness does to us, and worry, that they are thoughts that are running through our head and that they seem to be so out of control and taking so much from us. So if you want a good way to remember Philippians 4 and verse 6 when it comes to anxiousness and prayer, is take your anxious thoughts and turn them into prayer requests. But then in verse 7, Paul tells us why we should pray. You ever notice or ever wondered when you do pray that after you finish, that you feel better, you feel stronger, that there is a sense of peace that has fallen on your heart and your mind? When Paul tells us that when we turn our anxious thoughts into prayer requests, that God provides a peace that surpasses all understanding. It transcends our concept of knowledge, and that peace guards our heart and our minds in Christ. Sometimes knowledge is adequate enough that you can explain why you're worried. You can explain even how you feel. But the peace that comes from God that is directly related to prayer, turning our anxious thoughts into prayer requests, the peace that comes from God sometimes can't be explained. You can't put it into words. You can't put your finger on it, as you would like to say, but you know it. You know that peace when it comes into your heart. You know that peace when it falls into your mind. You know that peace and the calm that it brings into your life. And this peace of God is more than a feeling. It's more than a sense. It's more than just being mystical. You know it. You may not be able to describe it, but you know it. But what I love about Paul is that it's not just the fact that God gives us peace. It's what that peace does for us when it comes into our life. And that is that it guards our hearts and our minds in Christ. That word guard is used most of the time in a military context. So I want you to imagine a soldier who is standing at the door. He's watching everyone that is going in and everyone that is coming out. And he's ready. He's ready to defend that door. He's ready to protect. He's ready to guide. He's ready to guard. He's ready to do his role and fulfill his duty. Well, peace is the same way. And remember, this is a peace that comes from God. It's not a peace that we provide in of ourselves. But that peace, once it comes to our hearts and our minds through the prayer requests that we have given to God, it guards that heart. It guards the mind. It stands ready to defend from the anxious thoughts coming back. It stands ready to protect your heart and your mind from feeling that uneasiness and that uncertainty. It's ready to provide the peace that you need. That's what it does, and that's what God intends for it to accomplish in our life. I guess that's why we see that the most prayerful people are peaceful people. So if you want a summary for Philippians 4 and verse 6, that is to take the anxious thoughts that you're dealing with this morning and turn them into prayer requests. And if you want a summary of Philippians 4 and verse 7, then prayerful people are peaceful people. I hope that before you leave and go to work, or if you're already at work or whatever your schedule allows you to do this morning or this afternoon or whatever it may be, I hope that you will take a moment, turn those anxious thoughts into prayer requests so that you know and can receive the peace of God that transcends, that surpasses all understanding, and so that that peace can guard your heart and your mind from the anxious thoughts and coming back. So remember Philippians 4 and verse 6, when you're dealing with anxiousness, turn those anxious thoughts into prayer requests. And Philippians 4 and verse 7, prayerful people are peaceful people. Hope that you have found this devotional encouraging, beneficial to you. If you have, please share it with your friends, share it with your family. If you live in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, we would love to have you come and pay us a visit at the Raleigh Church of Christ. We're located at 911 Behringer Drive, Raleigh, North Carolina 27606. Tonight we have Bible class at 7 p.m. and it's classes for all ages. If you're unable to join us tonight, we would love to have you on Sunday morning, 9:30 for our Sunday school and 10:30 for our morning worship. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Hope that you have a good day, safe day traveling to work, and most importantly, a blessed day. Talk with you later. Bye-bye.